I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy each of your time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. So the day has finally come where I'm going to tackle 5D. Now, this isn't going to be your typical 5D conversation. Then again, maybe it will be because, well, I don't know. Does anyone really know what 5D is? That's my 2 cents here. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation about 5D. It was a really fun one for me to have. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm learning about 5D and what it could possibly be. With all of that, I also just wanted to do one little correction that happens inside of the episode. I mentioned that this episode was recorded in February of 2023, when in fact it was recorded in early April. For some reason, I was just having a moment where I thought it was February. I don't know. I wasn't skipping timelines or anything like that. I just messed up the time and I wanted to correct the record because, well, you know, time. Just, yeah. Anyways, with that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist or on my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now, it's time to begin. Jeannine, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Daniel. How are you?
Unprepared, but that's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
We'll explain that in a minute. And we'll do the timeless spirituality formalities right now. So are you ready for the first question with my hands up?
I am ready for the first question.
What is your favorite song about time and why?
My favorite song about time is called Prayer for the Dying by Seal. And he speaks in there about how time is the space between me and you. It's like that lyric just, it carries me through so much because it speaks to kind of how we are as humans and maybe some compassion that we could have and even connection when we imagine life in that way.
You kind of froze me in my tracks there because admittedly I haven't heard of the song. However, I'm still going to take a shot at this one.
Yeah.
All right, so something's telling me this is before Kiss from a Rose. So I'm going to zero in on the early 90s. Hopefully I get within 2 years. I'm going to say 91.
Not bad at all. It is before Kiss from a Rose, and it's 1994.
Okay.
That was
3 years off.
awesome. That was awesome. That was great. I mean, seriously,
Thank you.
out of all the songs he's ever done, amazing.
We'll have to check that one out.
It's a great song.
Yeah. He's good. It's good. Kiss from a Rose. This is a brilliant song. Even though it's such a big pop mainstream song, but
Right.
It's brilliant. Lyrically, I know that's not the one you brought up, but yeah. Okay. Anyways, where were we? Oh, yeah. Who is Jeannine?
Well, I'm just a girl from a small town. No, I am, I'm an intuitive, I'm a healer, medium, 5D astrologer, and holistic health practitioner, yogi, author. I just call it a mystic. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 25 years now professionally, and I've been, of course, intuitive and, with the medium gifts my whole life. So now I'm just, 25 years bringing it to people in the world, and I love it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have fun today. Ready for the next question?
I'm always ready. Yes.
What do you believe in?
I truly believe that everything is energy first. And in that, I believe in a fractal existence. And that in that fractal existence, that is what love is. Love is all of it, everything inside of all the fractal pieces. So that to me is really the foundation of how I move through every day of my life. It's not just a philosophy, it's how I make the choices that I make. It's how I show up with my own healing. It's how I am with other people and my connections around me. And then especially how I approach my work as well.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your belief.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Danielle, for asking.
Let's talk a little bit about your practice, because admittedly, I haven't had a session with you yet. I'm looking forward to doing that with you one day. But we talked for about 2 hours a couple weeks ago on the phone. It was a great conversation. And I can't personally speak on behalf of your practice, but I like you. It was a great conversation. I got a good feeling from you. And you offer an alternative to what I do. So
It's right.
let's talk a little bit about that. You want to just speak about the modalities that you utilize?
Absolutely. Yes. The work that I do, everything that I do comes from my intuitive self first. And then, I use tarot and I use astrology, and then I go really deep into past life work. It's kind of like my specialty. It always has been from the get-go. I get into that intuitive space and I start to see other times in space and the traumas and masteries that are created from that space. So through the years, my one-on-one sessions, my like one-off sessions, I use that to bolster the questions that people are coming with from today. And then in my mentoring work, I have an Into the Mystic program that I do. It's like one-on-one mentoring, isn't it? It's speaking
So
of
good.
songs. I'm musical. I'm right there with you with the music, man. It's Into the Mystic, and some of the other mentoring that I do is it goes in and it really harnesses the power in the story of these past lives, and we use them as tools as we move forward in every aspect of our life today. And so it's not just necessarily to find out who you were in another life, and not only to extract the life wound, but also to call it home to yourself, to bring that life home. I see these lives when we do tap them, they come home like a little tape measure. It's like they're out there in what we call time and space, kind of. I feel like they're happening right now, that fractal existence, and it just comes right home. And when it does, when we use our awareness with that, then we're able to understand that when certain dynamics come up in our life today, we could say, oh, wait, the root of this began a long time ago, but I have a consciousness today with other masteries that can understand that differently. So there's a little space there in objectivity, and we could meet it in an entirely different way and really put a pause to those subconscious dynamics that are happening in our life.
Yeah, I'm in. That sounds cool.
I think we have a lot of that Taurus stuff going on together, buddy. I think we.
Yeah, I'm a podcaster of many few words. Sometimes I go off on rants. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between what you do and what I do as a past life regressionist. So
Yes.
how is your practice different from a regression?
I assist my clients we really do a lot of integrative work as we go. And then when we go to get the past life, the difference would be is that we go together into a meditative state, and I invite them to be there with me consciously. Like if they see something and they want to share, the space is always available. But especially in my first session of Into the Mystic, it's called Clearing the Container. And then I have a part 2 called Embodying Empty. I'm the one who really directs that past life, but I intend, and they're coming along with me. It's like we're energetically holding hands, and we go into that space. And so I get that trauma, and I'm speaking it to them as we're going there. And I get the name of the individual, I get the place, I get their trauma point. We close out the life and we bring it home. But I'm doing it for them. They're there with me. And then we step out of that meditative state. So I've let them release the action in it, so then I can really allow them to go even deeper in the release, in the initial release of it. But then they have to go home and do the homework. And when they go home, they walk through the same process that I did. Like I have a little format for them to follow. They have conversation with them, tell them who they are, ask them if there's any more trauma they want to share from that past life. And then they bridge it and they bring it home and they say, well, this is how your trauma is showing up in our life today, and what I've done with it to take it further. And this is how the energetic environment is receiving this differently, how we're able to be with this a little differently. So they do the work after I've gone in there. And having been, also a holistic health practitioner, and I taught massage for years, anytime you could give yourself a massage, right? And that totally, it helps. Like I'll sit there and do the work, but then something about releasing and letting somebody else do it for you, you could go just that much deeper into it. And so this is how I like to approach the past lives as well, is that I want to go there for them first to make sure nothing is missed. And not to say it is otherwise, but I just kind of did this intuitively. Like this was my approach. And then we extract it from there. But I'd love to hear your whole process, because I know we haven't shared that either.
Well, really quick, I just want to address a past life reading, because what I enjoyed about our conversation and hearing about your process is it felt like the middle ground between what I do, a facilitator of past life regressions, and a past life reading, where someone just says to you, hey, Jeannine, you were a French farmer back in the 1700s. Or this is usually the point where I would just make some stupid remark about some joke about, I the one I tend to go with is the shit gallows cleaner back in medieval times. So Jeannine, you were the shit gallows cleaner.
Oh yeah.
All the stuff that came out after, everything would go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a past life reading. Whereas what I do, I am opening a space for someone to go through the experience themselves. So in that example, we won't go with the shit gallows cleaner yet for that one. But sorry. Yeah, sometimes you just got to approach it.
I love it. I love it.
In a lighthearted way.
Someone had to do it,
So if it were the farmer, which is a very common one, my client would say to me, because they would be in the hypnotic trance space, and they would say, oh, I'm seeing myself out in the fields right now. Oh, I'm seeing myself picking potatoes, or I'm plowing the fields. Just whatever. I don't know. I don't spend much time farming, so
farming,
yeah. And from what I'm understanding from your process, it's more like you're both there in a sense, or your client is there if they want to be there, and they're there is that correct, or they're there as much as they want to be, or as much as they feel comfortable. Whereas in my process, I'm asking questions based off of what they're telling me, so it's more of a reliance on them.
Yes, I hear that. And I use that process in my, what I call ancestral alchemy, when we go into the directions and the ancestral lineages, where I love that, because then there is some autonomy, some ownership that really, especially when they go into their family lines, if there's some stickiness there, when they see it or speak of it, they almost can't deny it. You know what I mean? It's not like me telling them what their family is, which could be really touchy from this life for many people. That's most times it's where our big triggers are, right? Because that's kind of the foundation of what we're trying to heal, is that family stuff when we come in. So I get that process. And yeah, in the process that I do here, you're spot on. I do that with them. Whether they're conscious of it or not, they're energetically there, because I really have us kind of intertwine energetically, and I make sure that we go in it energetically together.
I think it's pretty cool. And I wanted to have you on because I want to be able to, look, other than just having an amazing conversation with you on the phone and just really enjoying, and I'm really excited for what we're going to talk about next, because we really don't know where we're going to go. There's 2 letters I sent you, which I'll cover in a minute, or a number and a letter. And I want to be able to provide the listeners with alternatives, because some people may not feel comfortable being the one who's fully immersed in a regression, or they may want a little something more than for someone to just tell them you were a shit Gallows cleaner. Although, like, let's be honest, that's not a very pleasant one to experience. If like seeing that in regression, and I have yet to have someone see themselves as the Gallows cleaner, or more specifically, the shit Gallows cleaner.
The shit Gallows cleaner, man.
Right.
No.
It's a very niche job that they had there back in those days.
Could explain a lot, but yeah, no.
It was the most coveted of the Gallows cleaning roles.
It is. It was an honorary position.
As you can see, I probably was a Gallows cleaner, and I looked up to the shit Gallows cleaner. Or would it be the cleaner of the Gallows shit?
That's probably exactly how it was stated, right?
Yeah, or more grammatically correct nicer, that way.
Right.
Yeah, or it'd be more regal.
Yeah.
I here we call the cleaner of the Gallows shit.
Or how about the cleaner of the royal shit? It's probably, there's obviously a royal shit cleaner out there as well.
Yeah, but there is probably a lot more of royal shit cleaners, because.
Exactly.
Well, ... Exactly. Everyone can fill in the blank there. Anyways, This was fun. Thank you for coming on. Okay. You ready to dive in to the conversation that let's just call it a spade, that I didn't prepare for, but it was supposed to be that way. I don't know. I always feel like I need to cover my ground there, because I didn't really want to prepare for this conversation today because of how naturally our conversation evolved on the phone. So I thought it would just be fun to be like, let's not have an agenda. Let's just have a starting point and see where we end up. So last night I sent Jeannine a number followed by a letter, and that was 5 and D. This isn't something that I talk about much on the show, and I just felt that it'd be fun to have this conversation with you to see where we go. So, Jeannine, what do you believe 5D is?
What I believe 5D is a space where we understand the necessity of what we would call the light and the dark. Necessity being the key word. Coming from what we call 3D. And, these to me are catchphrases that can kind of encapsulate some kind of an idea or a sense or a feeling tone of where we're going. But, you could even see that there are dimensions. Like NASA found the 4th dimension around the Earth. Look that up. It's there. Like it's a frequency, it's a resonance. And these resonances call forth different states of being. But in 3D, what we would call 3D and 4D, from my perspective, is that is very much a polarized understanding of life or experience. And in that, we have to kind of come down here to parse out the bigger picture. So it's almost like you're looking at an anthill. You're like, whoa, look what's going on down here. Or like that, remember those old movies like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? And it looks like a lawn, but then you get down there and you're like, whoa, those little grass pieces are really far apart.
Sorry, all I remember is the Oreo.
Oh, okay, the Oreo. That was a yummy looking Oreo. Yeah.
Sorry for jumping in there. Just,
No, I went back.
In the food. Because, that is kind of my dream. Well, maybe not being shrunk, but if I were to see an Oreo the size of a house.
Sleeping on that soft, cushy pillow of white fluff. Like the smell of it even, that would be fabulous.
Yeah. I
have a Taurus moon, so I'll follow you on that. Cancer rising. I'll get into my food analogies. I'm sure they'll come at some point. Yeah, so 5D is the amalgamation of the deep, true coming together of both of those polarities. And some people might say, no, there's just good, and no, there's just bad. And no, this is right and this is wrong. And I know some of that is very subjective, but we are meant to have discernment, right? So we're going to feel what is right for us and what is inherently not. But when you hit 5D, there really comes not just an intellectualized understanding, but a whole body experience of, ooh, that ain't right. But it's meant to be. It's necessary. And again, it's not a detachment that doesn't have compassion, but it's like you enter all things with detached compassion and allowance. You're still there for it. You don't cut away from it, but you really embrace it and you let things play out. And they're really, you see it all as love, not to sound too fluffy, but it is. I don't see love and fear. Like people say love and fear. Fear can be love as well. Like that's not my delineation there of those words. Does that make sense? It's kind of long.
Look, I don't know if it's supposed to make sense. The one word that you used there that really stuck out to me is subjective. And I appreciate that you use that word because I think it's very important that we don't approach this from an objective point of view, because I don't think it can be objective where we stand in this current moment. Maybe tomorrow it can be objective, or in a week.
Right.
And probably not, but it could be. I'm open to the possibility, or in 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years, or, well, then, it's this time linear, and probably not, but we're just thinking in a linear sense. You know how it is. So what I really heard from you there is, this could be because I'm maybe biased to this position, is that it's a shift of perspective. It's a way of looking at things differently. Because when I started coming around to all of this, nearly a decade ago at this point, when I was hearing 5D and this and that, and I'll never forget when the blood moon came in 2015, where it's like, we're going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to be in 5D. And I remember going and watching that moon and thinking, you know what? I think tomorrow might be the day when the sky is gold. And things are going to be different tomorrow. And then waking up and just saying, oh, shit, it's fucking blue.
I know, man. I know.
What comes up for you with my subjective, objective, non-biased, bias assessment there?
I feel you. And I'm right there with you in that, to me, 5D isn't a place. It's not like Shangri-La. I often say to my clients, the end game is that there is no end game. It's just how you be with everything that is here. So in that moment, it's like, unicorns and butterflies show up because you realize you never get it done. And that everything that you're feeling doesn't need like heaping globs of shame to go along with it, because you should be this way if you're some 5D spiritual person. I feel like that is a projected perspective upon what 5D is. Like oftentimes I'll say, yeah, I call it Facebook Buddha or Facebook spirituality, where he's sitting there all zen. I'm like, how do you know he just didn't flip off some dude for cutting him off and he does not feel bad about it? He's like, yes, that was awesome because it was the truest way I could be, and instead we're projecting upon it that it has to be like this, unicorns and daisies, like it's going to be without that. Now, that's not to say that the experience might shift and you won't feel the need to, but I feel like 5D understands necessity for all of it. And it's the shame separates us from saying this is good and this is bad. Again, don't get me wrong. I know that there's polarity out there. I'm not saying it isn't. But if we could digest it differently, I feel like we'd move through our own wounds differently. And this is kind of where we're headed. And we'd allow these things to be and hold space for ourselves and others entirely differently.
You guys see why I like Jeannine? Wait for it. As they're all saying, yeah, Daniel, we get it. Yeah. Okay. There's a crash and burn moment there for me. Anyways. What just came up for me right now is thinking about something I recently heard a fellow practitioner say, a spiritual practitioner, not a past life regressionist, but someone in the space, where they referred to someone as a 3D person. And that really bothered me to hear that, because I felt like it was a superiority complex. It's saying I'm better than them because I'm not operating from the third dimension. Where when I mean, still not to talk down upon anyone, but to me, That's a very 3D statement. No pun, no pun intended there.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it's, again, it's where are we that we need to perhaps kind of compartmentalize things? I mean, I know that we want to understand so much, and we want to be able to understand who we are in that space and who everybody else is. This is a primal thing that we do to survive, right? To have that survival space. But I hear that a lot as well. And I also feel what comes up for me is that, and I see this even in my past life work, because when I work with past lives, I go to the root issue of every chakra. So there's a different past life for each chakra, and each chakra has a theme or an archetype, right? So let's just say, for the sake of what you brought up, 3D means that there's still some real trigger traumas there, and they're acting out of fear, right? They're acting out of a deep subconscious fear. And that could be maybe one part of you. Maybe that first chakra or the second chakra is like that. But the other chakras, you've worked it out. There, you understand the necessity for both. Maybe you don't have as much charge. And this is where I get back to the understanding that everything is energy first. If we just look at it instead of having to label it, I know I get it, for conversation's sake, it's helpful, but just look at it as energy. If there's a charge there, awesome. Go to the charge, go to the trauma, go to the sensitivity without the shame, see the necessity of it, get to the root of where it began. 9 times out of 10, it didn't start in this life. This life, it's just a whiff of the issue, right? No doubt it was like the meal began a long time ago, and work with it that way and allow yourself to let that be. Again, it's the necessity of it. It's delivering you somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed that up very eloquently. I may have used a couple more words that may have been more crass, but that's why I have you here to talk about this.
It's another thing that came up I'd love to share with you.
What's that?
Around that concept is that I wrote the word forgiveness down, and it's funny, in my practice, I don't use that word, because it also denotes, if you get into that word energetically, it denotes a superiority. Like, I forgive that. Instead, I use the word understand. And this, when you play with it, it winds all the way back to that necessity of things. Like, I understand why they're responding this way. I may not agree with it. It may not be the choice I make now, but I completely understand why their response is in this way, because they're afraid, because they're trying to protect themselves, or, something might come at them, or they have some trauma that they're not even aware of, or they're just following directions, or, they're not, sovereign in that place of their life. Like, whatever it is, you could say, I understand it. And then when you come to understand that, you still may not choose it. Forgiveness is a byproduct. But if we just enter something and we say we forgive it, that's like an intellectualism of it, and it keeps things separate, because you're up here and the forgive is down here, or the situation. But if you understand it, it automatically brings the energy together. And then you're like, well, it was necessary. Like, you don't get mad at a peach on a tree because it's not ripe yet, even though you want to eat it. You're like, no, dude, it's just not ripe yet. I'll get to that peach when it's ready.
No, that's what God's for, getting angry at God for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm kidding, everyone. So what I was thinking about when you brought that up, because I understand what you're saying with regards to forgiveness and understanding, and I like that. The issue that I have with it is I feel like that's going to piss someone off. If someone did something to me and I just said, I understand why you did it, I understand, they'd be like, who the fuck do you think you are to not, to be talking to me that? Wait, you think you're better than me? I understand. You're talking down. I understand why you did it. Instead of just like, I forgive you.
I see that. Yeah.
So what do you think?
I get that.
Because I hope that that's some place that we can get to as a society in the future, where everyone was able to acknowledge it that way. But I guess this is the conundrum that I find myself in, is the acknowledgement. One, I'm so far from 5D. There's so much shit that I'm still working on. I'm barely scratching 3D at this point. You know, there's so much that I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And
right.
But it's like, even in that spectrum of everyone else on the planet who's around me, I understand everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And while there are some things I may understand, there are some things that I may not understand that other people will understand. But it's the understanding of that I don't know how productive that would be, you know, approaching it from the Buddha in the Facebook picture. But that was brilliant, you saying that, because you don't know what Buddha did before that. So yeah, what comes up for you with the understanding component when it comes to conflict resolution?
Right. Well, you know, it is a weird thing to, I when you say that back to me, I could see how that would totally piss me off. It would sound condescending, you know, but then again, it would be maybe if it were not just like coming out from the mind, but really like absorbing it yourself. Like if we were to pause and be like, the frick are they doing? And I would then say like, well, you know, where is it in my life that I am still the unripe peach, if you will, or I'm still trying to process something and I keep falling off the bike? And you pause for a minute and you digest it and you're like, yeah, you know, I get it, man. I get it. You don't like it, but it's not like I understand in a condescending way, but like, you know, I get it from a humble way. Like, dude, I know I'm struggling in this aspect, you know, like how, and then you just, when you understand it from the gut, from the heart, it doesn't necessarily even, you don't even have to say the words. Like your whole body just releases in a different way because you are not armored anymore and you're not trying to get at them looking down like I understand like that. It's kind of like, you know, I freaking get it. I suck at this, you know, at this one part. And so how can I be so presumptuous that they need to get over that, you know, and maybe find a common ground of unripeness, whatever. And that's the fractal understanding. Like you may be great over here in communication, but in this part, you know, emoting, you're not. And so then it explodes, you know what I'm saying? And so they may be great at emoting, but not at communicating. And so you could just find the common ground of where you approach or be with one of the trickier aspects of your life in that way. And when you let yourself give yourself over to that, your nervous system changes, the way you affront somebody changes. And I feel like that's a great common ground. Did that feel different? Did that feel different in how I explained that?
Yeah. I still think it's just a recipe for disaster to piss some people off, but
It could, yeah.
I understand what you're saying. How is this conversation 5D right now?
That's a good question. Well, I'm going to go back on what you said before, is that everything is just perspective. That's it. And if you look at a fractal reality, right, it's all contained. Everything is there. It's just depending on what angle you're looking at it from. So when, you know, for me, it could be like a 5D conversation because we're bridging the gap between polarities. That to me is basically what 5D is. It's like you put, you know, the polarity of love and fear in a blender, you make a smoothie, and there's 5D. It's not the absence of those things, by the way, I don't believe. The absence of darkness, I don't believe that's what it is at all.
So yeah, I have a question with that. Isn't that what we're living in right now, to a certain extent? You know, that there is love and fear in this place that we're in right now? What's the difference?
I feel it's how we be with that love and fear. Tell me if you get this with your clients too, is that oftentimes with my own healing work and with my client work, let's say there's an aspect of them, it's hard to embrace, like the emotional component. Okay. I call them the big four. And this is a big part of my healing work where not only we want to hit all four aspects of ourselves to be whole. And that's to me, that's another, if you want to call 5D thing, the spiritual body, the mental body, the emotional body, all etheric in nature, and then the physical body. And the physical body is the holograph, the final stop, the amalgamation of the other three projected upon that. you could see that as the somatic experience, the mind-body connection. When we shift the energy on the inside, the physical adjusts. You could see that genetically. You could do that when you watch somebody. Like I would have my students, when I taught massage, go sit at a coffee house and watch how people walk, and then go home and do that. Somebody's hunched over. What do you feel like? What are you thinking? And let's take like Goldie Hawn, for example. She's like one of my favorites. I like to walk around like Goldie all day long because her heart's wide open, her shoulders are down. That's not to say she didn't have hardship in life, but what does that feel like? Because it shows a reflection of her inner energetic belief of the world, her emotional state, her spiritual state. The physical is last. And so to get back around to this is that, when we have a hardship, it's still going to be in there. It's still going to show up. So if we just don't have the shame around it and we look at it as necessary, then we could let it bubble up and be with it. And that is, to me, is the 5D perspective, is seeing these things that we've been told, oh, don't feel emotion. Like when I grew up in Chicago, if it's outside of Chicago, I was a sensitive person, but I toughed it up. I had tons of younger brothers, I was born in 1967, raised in the 1970s and 1980s. And if I cried, I was considered a crybaby. Like that's what I was called, big fat crybaby. And so I wasn't able to do that. So for years, the emotional aspect of me was hard to express. Just shame. But once you remove the shame, which is like that love and fear, that afraid of being an emotive person, and you see the necessity of it, then you embrace the entire human experience. There's not even, to me, even anger. If you have a proper place to put it, it's healthy. But when you have shame on top of it, it completely separates and it turns into fear versus love. That's the dialogue around it.
There's actually a trap that I fell into personally with regards to anger.
Right.
I never felt it was safe for me to express anger when I was a child. And still further on, as I got older, not safe to express it. So I buried it. Right. And because I think still it was the fear of, well, what will happen if I express that anger? Like, I know I'm in control. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I still have a good head on my shoulders. But what would that look like? And so I buried it, and I don't think it did any favors for me. But then after my first regression, one of the things that I felt lifted was the anger. I felt lighter than I think I'd ever felt in my life. And the trap that I fell into at that point was feeling how good that felt, or liking how good that felt. Because then I started to pride myself. And this is like, look, people who listen to the show may have heard me talk about this before. How, anger isn't a part of my life anymore. And they may say I'm a hypocrite for what I'm about to say, which is, well, maybe not for what I'm about to say it, but I wasn't wrong, but I was fooling myself. I was totally fooling myself. And I think it became part of this story that I then told myself. Even when I would go out there on other interviews, on other shows and talk about it, I wasn't lying. I actually believed that my anger was completely gone, and that when things would happen, even after the regression, things that would piss me off before then, that, that anger that I would just bury, I was like, I don't know, just, it doesn't get to me anymore. It doesn't bother me. And what I've been reckoning with for the last couple months, Pluto, Scorpio, eclipses, was...
We have the same nodal axis, man. I'm right there with you.
Was the recognition of just having this epiphany of, oh shit, I'm angry. I am angry. Now, what do I do with this anger? Then I tried to sit with the anger and let it come up. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get angry anymore. It's like, what do I do? Yeah, blah, blah, someone yelling in my face or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, nothing. There's nothing. It's not doing anything. It's like, okay, that's a problem.
Oh,
like that was what was kind of, to me, the comedic part of it, is realizing that there's a problem because I'm having no reaction. And it's like, oh, I ain't fucking Buddha. I'm just suppressing this stuff. So that's, as we're recording this in early February of 2023, I've like taken a step back from being as active as I was on social media and, promoting elsewhere. Even the podcast I put on hiatus for a little while because I was like, all right, I need to start feeling whatever this is. And I have autoimmune issues. So when I feel this anger coming up, like it is just even more. Yeah, I see you putting your hand up. Yes, there's probably a correlation. I will acknowledge it. Is it biological? Yeah, but its root is probably the emotional. I'm working on it. I'm acknowledging it. Because that was also one of the other things that was a big head scratcher is, wait. Because even, when all this started to come up, years ago with, oh, the anger's gone. Oh, I should be starting to feel better now because that was probably what I was doing. I'm like, wait, I don't feel angry. Why am I not feeling better fully? And now I'm just trying to feel this stuff and not to be in healthy control. So, I've even found myself going in my car to yell. And, whatever's coming up, but doing it later at night. Like I live in a place where it's a business district in a suburb of Los Angeles. Like I live right on the outskirt of it. So
Right.
it's just empty at night. There's no one's there. So I know which streets are empty and I go below the speed limit because I also don't want to pull my car up because the other thing is I live in an apartment. I don't want to disturb. See, this is where it's like, even when I'm angry, it's like, oh no, can't disturb anyone else around me. Can't bother anyone else because I'm pissed off. But I wouldn't change that because
Right.
I still do pride myself upon being that in control of the recognition. Okay, I'm angry right now. I can hold off the outburst. I don't need to bury it, but I'm just going to put it on hold for a few minutes. And I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to drive around because I don't want to pull over, but I'm going to drive around. I'm going to be aware that I'm in an angry state. I'm going to look at what the speed limit is, and I'm going to go slower than the speed limit because no one is going to get hurt because I'm angry. Then maybe I'll pull over if I feel like it, and then I'll drive slow again and just go around in circles where there is no one there. And I have no shame in saying that now. Like none. Like I don't see it as a, again, no pun intended here, as me regressing to an earlier state. Like I'm proud of myself for letting it come out now. And still what I view to be a healthy way, because it's like I'm not letting anyone else get hurt because I'm pissed off. It's having the awareness that, okay, if I do that, I may be projecting on people. So, my car doesn't have consciousness. Yes, there's an argument that could be made that everything has consciousness. So maybe it's aware that I'm yelling at it, but I'm not saying like, hey, Jetta, kiss my ass. It's, yeah. And I guess what I'm also trying to not fall in the trap of in this moment is, oh, this is me working with the 5D now, because now I'm acknowledging the anger and I'm not seeing it as a complete weakness. Anger is a human emotion. And it's like the ego. Everyone talking about getting rid of the ego.
Right.
Like, shut up. Have I said that a couple times? Yeah, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I don't know what I was saying. It's a matter of working with it. So I know I went on my big Taurus, man of a few lot of words rant there. What came up for you there?
So many things. I loved that rant. That was chock full of goodness, man. I loved it. Thank you for sharing all that. I loved it. Well, it's funny because one thing that comes up around that, I remember Ram Dass was chatting in one of his movies about, I think it was Alan White, like him and Alan, I guess, would hang out. I think that was that gentleman's name. And they had known each other for years. And he said to Ram Dass, he goes, what your problem is? You're too attached to detachment. And, because they were talking about when you said the ego, like the ego is not a negative thing. And I'm hearing from you, it's that ideal of what we imagine 5D to be. And that's from my perspective, a projected space that is, I believe, projected out of fear. Like it's going to be this utopia that has nobody's angry, everybody's walking around with daisies in their hair, you know what I mean? And nobody's met anybody, and we're all safe. And it's, it's going to be no anger, none of that. But again, we're denying what you said, it's a human experience. But oftentimes the reason why so many of these emotions are exaggerated, and that even could be joy, is because there's so much piled on top of it of how it should or should not be met. And I feel like 3D, if we are going to call it that, or this, more of a polarized existence, piles that on top of it to place it somewhere to feel safe. But when you let yourself, like what you did, drive around, get it out of your system, let yourself sit in observer mode while you're like, oh man, I'm having this freaking experience, but I'm observing it, so let me manage it and then let it out. When we don't approach it that way, it becomes explosive or extreme. And that's what polarity is. It's the extremity of it, as opposed to, a volcano that you let it drip out a little at a time versus let it bottle up and explode. Again, you even said the word shame in there. And so it's about releasing the shame. And when you release the shame, you realize that everything is necessary. Who are we to say it's not? If it is coming up in this energetic experience, then it is part of all that is. Let's just experience it without the polarizing judgment and just be with the necessity of it. And I even had a sense of, and I don't want to approach this in a reading sort of way, but I automatically, when you said the anger from that past life regression that you had, sometimes we have these extra heaping doses of the emotion that stemmed from other lifetimes, right? You know that, and that nobody was able to witness it, or we weren't able to make sense of it consciously or hold the space for it. So it's like pulling on your leg every time you're walking. It's this extra weight that isn't even really yours today. And once it's up and out, you're like, whoa, I'm free, right? But then there's that notion where, well, again, there must be a finish line. And I feel like that finish line paradigm understanding is just seared into the collective. Like, oh, when you get here and finish that, this will happen. And when you get here and finish that, that'll happen. But is that evolution? It's like those fractal pictures. They just keep going, going, going. The finish line is that there is no finish line. So once you cleared out that past life trauma, you could be more authentic and real time with your anger. It's still going to keep coming because, something is there that is you're able to move with in that moment that may inspire you to do this, or that you could unpack in regards to maybe another little fun layer of self that you want to expand upon. But the more you heal, the more you get to heal. I mean, I call karma gravity boots. We have to have some reason to be here. And so when it comes in, it holds us in this space. And the more we release, the more it comes in. It's like eating food. You just don't eat one meal. You're like, yes, I'm done. If somebody goes and cleans your house, like an amazing spring cleaning behind the fridge, those real good ones, it's not like your home is never going to get dirty again. And oftentimes people now approach some of these spiritual practices, and I love that we're all approaching these collectively with eagerness and curiosity, but perhaps to somehow put down the belief that it is going to deliver us to heal something and our problems will never come back again. It's kind of like saying, yeah, once I clean my house, I'll never have to clean it again. No, you're going to have to work on it every day, but you're going to have a clear foundation, and that's easier to keep up with instead of getting behind on all the dust bunnies behind that fridge and leftover Twinkie and whatever the hell else is back there.
Yeah, I think just still to piggyback on that with regards to the anger that I believe was cleared out during my first regression, I think that was an opportunity to start with a clean slate and then to address whatever was coming up at the time and work with it. Because just like you were talking about with the volcano, I like how you use that analogy because that's what I like to tell people about transits. It's like, oh, I got my Pluto transiting my ascendant in about 17 years. So I'm doing my best to address all those issues over there because it's that feeling that feeling, but the belief that if I start working with that now, the eruption won't be as magnificent in 17 years. Like something is going to happen, but I can either kick the can down the road until then, or I can be like, okay, I'm realizing I have some anger stuff to work with. I'm going to work with it now. Yeah, let's deal with this now because then it won't be as magnificent. Then again, it could have nothing to do with it. But I do have the Pluto square coming up soon. But neither here nor there. I guess I'll just be the precursor to all this. But okay, blah, 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 blah. So where was I with the anger? I think it's safe to call a spade and just to say, yeah, I was spiritually bypassing 100% by choosing to not look at the things that were upsetting me after that regression. I was spiritually bypassing. I was using this, I'm free now. I'm enlightened. Although I never called myself enlightened, but, hyperbole right now.
Right.
Oh, I'm above the anger, this and that and this. I never have to revisit that. It's a part of my past. No, I'm not angry. This and that. It's like, do I get a little annoyed if someone cuts me off on the freeway? Yeah, but I understand why they did that.
Rat bastards. No, I have a healthy dose. I mean, my children, sadly, have a lovely vocabulary thanks to their South Side of Chicago redheaded mother. When I get mad, it's coming out of me. Yeah, I understand, but I still want to express it.
Well, we don't know what Buddha said when he was pissed.
Thank you. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a nice little quote that he posted on Facebook. But who knows what he's saying once he goes back in the cave. There's not enough fucking light in here.
Bastards.
How do you expect me to be enlightened without a window? Maybe he was saying that. Maybe not.
Yes, I hear you. I'm with you on that.
But we're all human. So I guess just with that, I like the way that this conversation shaped up. I didn't know where it was going to go because I didn't know if we were going to be talking about, the pastures and fields of gold and all of, the animals that have been amassed over the centuries, all the extinct ones that have gone to this new earth, when we rise in ascension to the fifth dimension and no one gets pissed off anymore. We can eat ice cream and not get fat. And I'm glad that we didn't go in that direction because I think it's important to have conversations like these about the non-bypassy, because let's also call another spade a spade. For me personally, when I was sitting there watching that blood moon that night, and I believe it was September of 2015, just thinking, oh, we're going to wake up and feel the gold tomorrow because that's what they said on YouTube. That meant that I didn't have to look at anything else if I woke up in a field of gold. That meant that all my problems would magically disappear. And, just like that anger, I no longer need to look at because that was a thing of the past. Everything else would be a thing of the past. And it was a spiritual or bypass mindset that I was in, and I'm still in to a certain extent. That was a big eye opener for me with the anger. It's like, oh shit, I've been spiritually bypassing for years. And so who knows what's next? The epiphanies I'll have where I'm spiritually bypassing. Like I'm not above that.
Well, and in your defense, how are we even taught as humans, or at least in our culture or in the broader modern world, to give time or space or effort or importance to deal with these components? And I have a book coming out this year, hopefully this summer, called Dark Matters. And there's going to be another half of that title. I haven't figured it out yet, but Dark Matters. And most spiritual people, or not everybody, but the belief is to go to the light. And I'm like the little lady in Poltergeist with the squeaky shoe and the purse. I'm like, let's go to the dark, man. Like, I you gotta go there. And then when you look at the four bodies, as I mentioned before, like the big four, it's look at the one, which one's your favorite body? Spiritual, the mental, the physical, the emotional, or the physical? Which one's your favorite? Which one's your least favorite? Now, if they were your babies, which one would be starving? Which one would be the black sheep? And which one would be the exalted one? And I truly believe, again, in this fractal existence. Be the change you wish to see in the world. When we get right and go straight to the one body that we maybe have a hard time with, or haven't made peace with, or don't create enough space or continuity of connection with, trust with, then we sit there and we look in the world, we're like, oh, this person's not doing this one's not doing that. I'm like, okay, cool beans. What's going on in here? That's why, they'll say, most people will say, well, the feminine, and I'm, hey, here I am sitting here as a woman. And I don't see it as gender, but the feminine, female rising. I'm like, okay, well, the feminine, when you look at it in regards to energy, is the emotional body and the physical body. So I ask most people who fight this fight, do you meet your emotions? Do you listen to your body when it doesn't want to do something? Or are you like a dictator? You're like, too bad, I know you're tired, we're doing this because the mind says it's better to do. Only when we can meet our emotional body and our physical body are we embracing the yin or the feminine within us. And then that projects out there, or any other body for that matter, whatever the case may be. And then we're all balanced. And so, and there is a case for suffering, go into the dark of any of those places that we don't deal with. Doesn't a meal taste better like when you're a little hungry? If you're full, overly stuffed, you don't want any more. And so what I mean by suffering is that, oftentimes we feel like, well, gosh, we don't want to go there. I don't want to go to my anger. I don't want to go to my emotion because I'm sad when I go there, or it's scary if I go there. But if you go there and let yourself feel that suffering for a bit, that's how you ultimately create compassion, and you feel a bit more full with yourself in the end. And the Pluto list thing, by the way, with the Pluto, I'll tell my clients all the time that you want to deal with Pluto, make a list of everything that you do, that you need to do on a daily basis, all the things you want to get done. I mean, be really bold and honest, like write it all down, and then even review it. Take a look at what always ends up at the bottom of the list. You want to know how to deal with Pluto? Flip that list. And whatever that piece is that never gets worked on, start with that first. And then when Pluto and Aquarius show up, mainly Pluto, because Aquarius is kind of out of left field. But when Pluto shows up, he's going to say, damn, you got on that straight away. And Pluto promises, the transformation and the resurrection, promises that. Promises the empowerment and the resources, but why not go there first? So I'm right there with you, man.
Well, I still have 28 degrees to go. So
you have time, but isn't that Pluto? It'll take you that long to work on, right?
Yeah. But me thinking about it now, it means I'll start somewhere around Pluto at 25 degrees of Aquarius. If I'm being honest. Because anything before that is just a win. If I decide to start earlier, because then I'm like, oh God, it's square, and then I got this, all those nice Pluto squares coming up with Taurus over the next 20 years.
Oh man,
yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Well, on that note, where can everyone reach you?
Oh yeah, JeannineKim.com, my website, and also on Instagram. I just came out of my own cave. Daniel, and I've never been on social media until like 2 weeks ago, and I don't even know if I posted much. Like, I don't even know how to do it, but I'm there. Themystic.jeanninekim, and I'm on Patreon, Jeannine Kim, Mystic. Yes.
Cool. We'll include all that in the show notes. And Jeannine and I don't have a deal set up for kickbacks or anything like that. So if you decide to book a session with her, just tell her that you heard her on Timeless Spirituality, just for bragging rights for me, because I'm still working on my ego. So yeah,
we're all working on our ego, Daniel, or we probably wouldn't be here having the conversations.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can look at the world that way. Just this was a fun one. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you. Thanks for having me. I loved
You're
it.
very welcome, and I'm excited to read your book and to see what the future has in store for you. As
Me too.
everyone ready for this, da 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 da, goes into the mystic with
Oh,
Jeannine.
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Thank
So
you.
I'm gonna finish with yay. Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.
Hey, time traveler. Are you trying to learn your birth chart and you're struggling through all those confusing layers of signs, houses, planets, degrees, aspects? I have a 4-level self-paced course that makes this process so much clearer. Hi, I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. I'm an instructor and mentor for folks like you that are trying to learn all of this trendy new astrological information for themselves in their own lives. Each level of my course is specifically designed to dive deep into the chart and help make sense of all those different parts and pieces. I developed this course to directly improve all the problems that I personally encountered on my journey to learning my own birth chart so that you don't have to. All of the information is presented in a way that is digestible and set up to promote the most effective retention and set you up for real success. By the end of our last level, you'll be ready to practice interpreting the transits and the aspects for yourself. You can visit thatwitchnextdoor.com/astrology for more information and to order yours today. You can also use code Time to Learn for a 10% discount off of your bundle today. This is my way of saying thank you so much for being part of the Timeless Spirituality community. I enjoy working with all of you so much that listen to me over on That Witch podcast. So don't forget, if you're struggling to learn your birth chart, you want to finally make sense of all of this, visit thatwitchnextdoor.com/astrology and use code Time to Learn for 10% off at checkout. Thank you so much, time traveler. Thank you, Daniel, the past life regressionist, and I'll see you all in class.